Hello, everyone. Hello. And welcome to this session on how AI can scale retention via personalization. So there's quite a lot to unpack in that title. So before diving in, let's just take a couple of minutes to think about what we mean. The goal, of course, for all service providers is to reduce churn by driving up retention. But as we will show during the course of this presentation, all things being equal, in the short term, the only driver of retention that we can really vary is personalization. And personalization is important because the more and more personalized the service becomes to the user, the more indispensable it feels, and hence the less likely the user is to churn. But the key challenge with that is that the more points we try to personalize, the more and more data points we're trying to deal with, and that becomes a scaling challenge. And as we'll, again, argue in this presentation, the only way to really solve that scaling challenge is by the use of AI and machine learning techniques. So if retention is the opposite of churn, why do users churn? So the points on this slide possibly seem a bit obvious, but it's sometimes helpful just to set out a framework and see the overall picture. So cost. Clearly, if the service costs more than the value the user is perceiving they're getting from the service, they're going to be motivated to churn. Similarly, if during the end of an offer, so many users sign up for an introductory offer, when that offer period ends, again, it changes the value and price equation. Lack of content. If as a user you can't find something to watch, then quite quickly you are going to lose interest in the service and quickly reach for that churn button. And finally, quality of experience. And by this I mean not just the streaming quality, but the quality of the application, how easy it is to navigate, find content. And so if the quality of the experience falls below the expectations set by the price point, then the user is going to be motivated to churn. So the final one, user experience, is different to the first four. And the reason it's different is that with the first four, in the short term, all things being equal, there's not really much we can do. Things like the lack of content. Our content acquisition budget is generally fixed for a period, the current financial period, for example. And so there's not a huge amount we can do. But with the user experience, we can make quite a few changes in the short term. We can test the effect of those changes with A/B testing. We can try many, many things out. And so in the short term, it's the best way to drive retention. But how can the UX drive engagement? So here specifically, I'm talking about drivers of engagement rather than measures of engagement. Things like time spent watching and completion rates on shows. When we were discussing this session internally, the discussion quite quickly got sidetracked by measures of engagement. And so we're focusing here on drivers. And we set out this framework of the 6 core measures. So UI personalization. Here we're talking about all the ways in which the user's use of the service changes the way that service is presented to the user. So that covers points like bookmarks, watch lists. Personas are really important. I'm sure you've all used a service where you open it up and it presents a persona selection. The reason that's so important is that it gives us the chance to personalize around the individual user rather than the household account. Recommendations. So I'm sure generally we tend to get sidetracked into thinking about recommendations in terms of you've watched X and so you might like Y rails in the UI. But recommendations covers a much broader scope. There's algorithmic as well as editorial, and the power of human-based recommendations shouldn't be underestimated. But then there's also in-app versus out-of-app recommendations, so push notifications and emails promoting the latest content. The next two are quite similar. Be where your audiences are. So this is personalizing the time, device, and place that the user wants to consume your device on. And video experience is about personalizing the way the user wants to consume your service. And so if they want to watch socially via a watch party, then that's the kind of functionality the service needs to offer, and it helps drive retention. Real-time engagement. I'm sure everyone has used a service that uses features like badges, notifications, and loyalty points and achievements to drive engagement. And these are really powerful tools that can be applied to video applications as well. And finally, CRM, customer relationship management. So this is covering the personalization of every touch point the service has with end users. So for example, anniversary of joining offers and birthday greetings via email. So we've deliberately cast a really broad net around that framework. But in order to try to simplify, we've grouped them into these three categories: content, offer, and presentation personalization. So point is still, however, that the challenge with all of these is to do them effectively requires finding a way to do them efficiently, accurately, and at scale. The point here is that the more and more data points we're trying to personalize, the harder and harder this becomes. There's only so many A/B tests we can set up as humans, whereas, as we will show during the rest of the presentation, artificial intelligence and machine learning techniques can really help do that and help achieve that scaling. So we believe that AI is going to impact every element of the workflow, and we've grouped them here into these four categories: connect, engage, monetize, and manage. So connect is all about finding better connections between content and consumers. And it covers things like content discovery, which is the recommendations engines that we've talked about, but also features like smart thumbnails. I'm sure everyone's familiar with the lengths to which Netflix, for example, goes to choose the most enticing thumbnail to draw users into a piece of content. But that's clearly another scaling challenge in the sense that there are many potential user types and many potential thumbnails to choose from within a piece of content. There's only so far that we can go via A/B testing. Engage, clearly that's the focus of today's session. It covers several use cases, some of which we've listed here. Sports highlights is another great example of using personalization to drive retention. So sports highlights involves taking an entire sports event and using AI to automatically generate a highlights package, which can then be used perhaps to syndicate to social media and draw in new audiences, or perhaps used to upsell casual fans to buy a more complete package. Monetization. So it might seem strange to draw a line between engagement and retention into monetization in this kind of session, but the point is that with more and more service providers looking to either diversify or supplement revenues away from pure subscription towards advertising, we need to think how to do that efficiently and accurately. And one of the biggest issues with moving to advertising is finding ways to insert advertising at the best moments. So I'm sure everyone's used a service where the ads have been inserted at a really inopportune moment, perhaps mid-sentence. That's really distracting and quickly drives the user away from the service and pushes them towards churning. And the reason for that is that we're trying to insert ads into content that wasn't originally prepared with the advertising in mind. It's hard to go back and process a whole back catalog in order to find the advertising points. And so using AI can help scale that. And finally, manage. This is more focused on service providers, but there are tools here where AI can help as well. For example, processing and surfacing the back catalog of content and using AI to perhaps enhance metadata and so improve the discoverability of that content. So our product works in a very workflow-centric way. It's structured as a series of detectors that process the content to produce a set of actionable metadata that can be consumed by the algorithms in order to answer a set of questions. And those questions can be answered within the workflow. For example, the sports highlights application, but can also be passed downstream to other entities like an advertising server for contextual advertising or an enhanced recommendation service. And here we can see video AI in action. It's processing a piece of content. We can see it's extracting the emotion level of the content, whether it's happy or sad. It's extracting the objects that are within that content. It's extracting more in-depth metadata about the content. And it's doing this all on a scene level basis rather than at the whole content level. So to summarize, personalization drives engagement and engagement drives retention. Personalization extends far beyond just content recommendations, and we set out a framework that covered the much broader set of methods of personalization. Our framework includes content, offer, and presentation personalizations, But the point we've tried to show here is that although this presents a lot of opportunity, the only way to do that efficiently, accurately, and at scale is via artificial intelligence and machine learning. So that's all from me for the time being. There'll be a panel following this, but for the time being, thank you very much. And I'll hand over to Goran from Broadpeak.
Hello, everybody. Many people talking with during the NAME event with years in the past are asking me who is Broadpeak, especially in the last 2-3 years how I'm visiting NAME. And actually this panel, I'm very thankful that it's a technology panel. So we are talking today for technology. Actually, we are technology. Broadpeak is a software company, and what we do, actually 200 million people over 50 countries are watching their favorite shows on our technology, on our streaming services. So this is Broadpeak. This is the same size as Netflix, as the buzzword. So if you compare with Netflix, Netflix do the same. But we are technology. We are not content provider. We are just pure technology software out of Rennes, France, all around the world. So in the last 10 years, from a startup, the company or spin-off from another company, the company become a CDN world leader, mainly on-prem. If we take in front of us that 53% of the generated data in the world is done by video, we are focusing on few challenges. The main challenge for us is quality of experience. That is the same what Netflix as a standard of quality it's doing on their side. So we as the technology company, we are also focusing on that way, on a quality of experience. Network capacity growth. We are working very closely with the operators. So network capacity growth is a huge challenge for the network operators. In this region, we are working with many big operators. So this is a huge challenge where we are focusing on. And on the end, the most challenging in the latest years, maybe you do not believe, but 300 million tons of CO2 is generated from video streaming. So the environment is also becoming very important. And I must say, Broadpeak, it's green. So we are part of the green movement from the video perspective. With whom we are working in the region, we are working with actually 3 big ones. We are working very closely with A1 here in Croatia and also in Macedonia. In the region, we are also working with Yetel in few countries, Serbia, Montenegro, Bulgaria, and also we work with Deutsche Telekom in this region. So we are one of the main partner of these 3 big players in the region for video streaming. But this is our, let's say, flag. So we are CDN world leader in this moment. We can freely say that in the last 10 years, and we are all around the world. What we did in the last 2 years, the main partnerships, Disney, DAZN, and TIM. I will speak later on shortly what we did with TIM in Italy, just as an example, very shortly. My colleague Olivier will speak more detailedly about Broadpeak on the panel later on. And what we did in 2022, last year, so we did IPO and we go on stock exchange, we go on public, we go on Euronext, we pick up 20 million. And also we launch streaming as a service. So Broadpeak from on-prem company moving also to software as a service solutions. This is what we did in the last 2 years. The main message which I want to share here is we are meeting here a lot of content people, and usually the content people again they're asking what Broadpeak do as I start my presentation. The main message which I want to share here is that we want to show, beside the operators with whom we are very tightly working and we are great partners supporting each other, we also want to talk with the content providers to understand that maybe there is a new market for them. Different market, I will say, not only new market, but maybe different market, where they can maybe not only talking about copyrights with the operators or with other resellers or all those stakeholders in the environment, maybe they should start thinking how to sell the content on the screen, how to monetize directly their content on the screen. So this is the idea. This is the main message about which I want to talk during those 3 days. Unfortunately, the weather is not the best, so we are staying inside. But I'm ready to talk with the content providers about that, how to sell the content directly to the screen. So that is the main message, actually. Because in a time of a 5G and very, very huge development in Europe of fiber, we are facing huge development, especially in big environments like Germany and UK. There is many opportunities for the content providers, and they should start opening this way of thinking instead of negotiating only with the operators, which is fine, great. Operators want to sell more capacity, and this is happening, and this will happening if the content providers also try to see another way how they can sell the content directly to the screen. In the time when the new STB actually is the TV set, there is no any more STBs. There is the TV set with an app, boom, you have your content on screen very easily. And it's opening a question, maybe now the content providers will need a IT department, software developers. No, everything can be outsourced. Everything can be outsourced and can be easily done. This is the main message. One last slide, who we are. So 330 plus people in already 22 countries. I didn't update, unfortunately, this one. And all what I said is based on 47 people in R&D. So the half of the people are R&D. We are only focused on R&D. I have 3.5 more minutes. So to summarize what we do, modes of deployment, as I said, on-prem, public cloud, private cloud, software as a service. This is what the modus of how we work. What we are known for in the last 10 years for a CDN and origin. This is what we are known for. Everybody knows, I'm talking from the operator side or from the broadcaster side, even some content providers. As a technology company, everybody knows Broadpeak as a CDN provider, as the origin and packager provider. What we also do innovative way of multicast ABR. As you can see here, it's optimized live streaming for sports. We did this just to use this kind of a buzz sentence to again start people thinking. The operators are facing challenges, as I said. Capacity growth, it's not following the way how the capacity is growing. It's not following the growing of the infrastructure. It's not possible. People are asking for content more and more. People are asking for streams more and more. And the operators cannot achieve the speed of streaming or the capacity growth with the building of suitable infrastructure. So we have multicast ABR solution helping operators to increase the quality of experience. And we did this with a team, followed by Dozen in Italy. That was a huge project, and we are very proud in Europe about that project. We helped team in Italy to improve the quality of experience to their customers. That is the main point. And what my colleague Olivier will talk about in the panel later on, what we believe. We believe in monetization. That is the most important thing. We believe on the end of the day that all this technology should be monetized. We should find a way how to monetize our solution, and also our clients should find a way how to monetize their services. So what we believe in content replacement and a personal channel. That is, last night I talked with some people, or when you mentioned fast channel, what is that? Link back channel. What is that? A lot of discussion about that. What is the next step? So Olivier will talk about that in the panel. And for sure, dynamic ad insertion. So Broadpeak is also doing that. We are doing the manifest manipulator. So targeted or dynamic ad insertion is something where we are focusing on after all what we develop in the last 10 years. Thank you very much.
hello, I'm Anastasia and I'm Streaming Solution Architect at Gcore. And today I want to tell you about some modern broadcasting trends and challenges and perspective of moving from in-house solution to cloud as a service. So Gcore is cloud and infrastructure provider built in Luxembourg, and since 2014 we create a lot of cloud and infrastructure products which are repeatedly proven by high-loaded projects and adapted for any kind of industries, from AI to, of course, streaming solution. All infrastructure is our own, so it's like a great advantage when you're moving from your solutions to cloud as a service, because it's easily scalable. So we can deploy new servers for you for caching or for ingesting in any data center where we already have presence. And we have presence like all over the Europe, practically in every huge data center in Europe, and of course in the USA, in Asia, and even in the Pacific. So we invest in our infrastructure, and you're free from expenses of building your own network. And one of our products is cloud streaming platform. So we can help broadcasters and OTT providers to move to the modern cloud solutions from hardware and some in-house solutions. So you don't need to hire like a huge team of developers or engineers to build your own network, to deploy some software for you. You also don't need to spend a lot of funds into expensive infrastructure, which also need to be deployed based on your needs. Also, you don't need to maintain the systems and to monitor. So you know streams are a very vulnerable thing, and even if broadcast is freezed for 1 minute, you can lose a lot of viewers who will just move to another OTT provider with no buffering. And you need to hire again a lot of engineers to maintain the systems and to fix the issues. At Gcore, of course, we do monitoring and maintaining by ourselves, and we have like a technical support team who can help you to fix issues during the day and night. So we have our ingester points in Europe, in Asia, and the USA. We can build a direct connection with your servers or hardware, or just accept streams in SRT or HTTP. Then everything is going to our cloud. We transcode, packaging your streams into modern protocols, and then deliver it using our content delivery network. So reducing the distance is like also one of the modern trends. Everyone is going global nowadays. So in theory, every 96 kilometers of distance add 1 milliseconds to the latency. So if you want to send stream from one point of the globe to another site, you will have from 200 till 300 seconds of latency, milliseconds of latency, and we are talking only about connection latency. Speaking about the latency between what's going on in the real time, what the viewers see, without CDN and additional features, it is calculated not even in seconds and milliseconds, but in minutes. So it's like a significant thing when your broadcasts online. So with Content Delivery Network, we bring your broadcast closer to the viewers. So first of all, the content from your server is going to our Content Delivery Network. It's cached on the nearest for your viewer server based on the geography and provider routes. And then all the viewers in the region will get the stream from the CDN with no buffering and the lowest latency possible. So the low latency is also like one of the main trends, because for a long time OTT and satellite had the lower latency than the same stream which one you're watching on the web. So it can be like very disappointing when your neighbors sitting on the couch by TV see the greatest football goal faster than you, like modern men who are watching the same football match on the web. So Gcore has optimized our transcoders and ingesters to provide you the lowest latency between what's going on in the real-time event to what the viewer will see. In Gcore, we can transcode and package your streams into different modern protocols to provide the lowest latency between the real-time event and what viewer will see. So speaking again about the football, it can be also very disappointing And it's like a dramatic difference when you see the last goal of the year and find who is the champion in 1 and 2 seconds from the real-time match or in 30 seconds. And I would say that one of the trending protocols is HSP, which can provide you 1 or 2 seconds latency. And it's also suitable to be delivered by CDN and can be played in modern players, which is also a thing. Because, for instance, iOS native devices not support any kind of protocols, only HLS, which is built by Apple. And by default, HLS has like 8 or 10 seconds latency between what's going on in the real time. But not long time ago, Apple finally developed a low latency version of the HLS protocol with 5 or 4 seconds latency. And of course, we can also package your streams in that protocol to be played on iOS devices also. So instead of the latency, another trend is machine learning and AI, also for broadcasters and content creators. So one of the basic thing what AI can do for you, it's recognizing content. For example, you want to cut some inappropriate scenes from the said football match. It can be like a fight between fans of the team. So AI can recognize these things based on the actions, based on the objects, on the words, and cut it for you from the live stream going online right now. So there is like no human interaction. Everything can be recognized and done by the machine learning. And the other thing what AI can do is cutting highlights. So right now, editors need to monitor the whole stream, find the best moments, click buttons, and cut the greatest moments. But AI also can recognize the things by the actions, by the objects, and cut it for you, and then save them in the cloud. So the only thing you need to do is to take these videos from the cloud and embed in your application. And even that also can be optimized by scripts and AI. So everything can be done without any human interaction. AI can help not only with live streams, but with video also. And one of the things is content summarization. So AI can look through videos, for example, through the set highlights and find out and create description of what's going on in that video. So it's not based only on speech recognition. AI can do that based on the objects and then create a brief summary of what's going on. So, for example, even if the red car is winning the race and commentator is not speaking for some reasons about that, AI can find and understand that and put a brief summary for you. So, other broadcasters, you can make cloud work for you without like interaction from your side. So you can concentrate like on the content creation or deciding what you want to show your viewers. And cloud as a service can do like everything for you from the technical side. So Gcore can do like the whole cycle from capturing your stream to delivering it using CDN and playing in players and AI recognition. So thank you.
Hello, everyone. Hi. Thanks for still being there in the room, first of all. I appreciate it. I hope you're having a nice NEM. That's okay. Yeah. NEM is quite different from the event. It's my first NEM, me personally, and I think it's very enjoyable and very different from the events that we sometimes go to, the big ones, the Mobile World Congress or IBC. So I thought this time I would do it differently than how I would do it in those, and there would be no sales pitch, basically. So it's a promise. If you have your gift bags with this little sun cream that you're maybe not using, you can throw them at me if you see see me do any kind of pitch. Instead, I'm going to walk you through a few insights about an area of content which is a bit special, which is the kids content area. I've worked for 10 years in telco, and then working with telcos in content TV technology. And when I joined Sandbox, who is the leader in edutainment, earlier this year in January, my friends and mentors told me everything you know about entertainment doesn't apply to kids content. So I thought, well, that's great. I'm going to be learning a lot. And yes, it is a very special area. And so a few insights about what's happening and how technology, there is a link with technology, how technology can be used to enhance user experience in the special case of edutainment. So at the crossroad of entertainment and learning education. So there is a fundamental that is there, though, which is the method of the broccoli and chocolate. I don't know if some of you guys in the room have kids. There are two ways to read that. There is the basic way and the sophisticated way. The basic way of broccoli and chocolate is if you eat your broccoli, you're allowed to eat the chocolate. In the world of entertainment, it could be if you do your homework, then you're allowed to play for 1 hour or to watch some stupid YouTube videos for 1 hour. There is the way we do it in edutainment, which is slightly different, is you coat the broccoli with chocolate. It's a bit cheeky, but in this way, the kid loves it and even learns to love the broccoli. I'll come back to that in a second. Key experience themes, so that's the technology, and you can recognize, I heard before about personalization. In fact, the main topic here in terms of experience is moving away from the simple presentation of video and into more interactivity, with the frontier between video and gaming, which is becoming thinner and thinner. I think Maria from Omdia covers that a lot these days, and it's a hot topic that telcos are very aware of. Immersion, I mean, I said that yesterday after the Apple announcement, it's going to become more and more, and the use of generative AI and modern technologies to create new experiences for kids. There's a massive world of opportunity there. And then gamification, which touches on a topic which is a bit tricky. It's what I call the Goldilocks zone of gamification. Gamification is great, but too much gamification is too much. You need just enough. Not too little, not too much. Especially for kids, because if you put too much gamification and gratification a la Snapchat, for example, then you can create anxiety for the kids, and then it becomes totally counterproductive, and while your product is just not good. And then in terms of themes, what I call here the 3 is environment. It's been around for some time, but these days, at least in many countries in many developed markets, environment is taught at school. My 8-year-old daughter has been telling me for 3 years now that the planet is crying, and I have to remind her that therefore she should use her toys a little bit longer and not just leave them aside. But it's everywhere, and it's at the top agenda of all large telco groups, as we know. Empathy, so the ways to understand each other's kind of feelings, and that's something that is very high in the education of the kids, especially after the COVID years. And then end-user generated, which touches on a tricky topic, which is the topic of the kids basically between 8 and 12, which are, I think Sanya said before, weirder and weirder. I would say that certainly the way they consume content is very special and hard to be spot on, basically. Which means for telcos, it's very complex, the kids sphere. It's always been the case. A 3-year-old doesn't like the same thing than a 6-year-old. It's always been like that. But now with the new trends around the 8+ and the fact that many of them want to do content creation, so how do you accompany that? Do you just say, no, it's bad, it's dangerous? Or do you say, yes, and how do you do it? So it's fragmented audience by nature, and even more now. Multiple media, so video and game is getting closer. What does it mean for products? It's tricky. Many telcos are only just starting to launch their gaming propositions. I'm thinking about EE in the country where I live, in the UK, who just launched a gaming proposition, which at the moment is basically a bundle with an Xbox Pass. It's good, but it's early days. So how do you do a sophisticated proposition with multiple media? Not easy. And then there's the rights barrier to entry. We all know that many of the large traditional pay TV groups are clawing back some of the rights, and therefore what content is there left for the telcos to market. Okay, so which brings us to edutainment. So edutainment is not like a silver bullet magic that is solving every problem, but it is something that works particularly well for broccoli and chocolate, because effectively what edutainment means, it's a kind of a buzzword, but it means quality. It means quality kids content. It means content that doesn't make your kid look like a zombie, basically. And the broccoli, in that case, is the curriculum. So it's the method of selecting the content. So in the case of Hopster, which is one of our brands, we have 20 key learning brands, but reaching 60 million people each month, but I should not go into pitch mode. Hopster is pretty much the creator of the preschool app, born in the UK in 2014. Preschool meaning before 6 years, less than 6 years old, so the really small kids. And here you have a few examples of our main pillars, if you want, which are based on the Early Life Foundation framework. So it's pretty much the methodology framework used by the UK and US school system. And we match all our content based on those themes, and then we alternate them in the way we present it to users in that way. And and we're present in a lot of languages, including Bosnian, Slovenian, Serbian, Bulgarian, and Romanian as well. We are present in the region for many years now, initially with Hopster, but with other brands. And we work with United Group, A1, Vodafone, and recently launched in Romania with Antenna Play. I'm a bit short on time, so I will speed up. One of the side benefits of working with kids brands, of course, is you reach young families. It's obvious, but the buyers are, the decision makers are the young families. And of course, it's as with content, telecom operators love being able to use the famous characters in marketing. And the chocolate that we put on the broccoli, the experience, the apps, is turning into a new generation this year. So in the 2 minutes I have left, half of it will be showing you this short video. Basically, you get it. It's something that we created for telcos because it addresses the whole household, basically. That's how to crack the complexity of kids. You have the last thing you want as a telco is to start briefing your agents to say, well, if the kid is less than 6, you offer this. If they are between 6 and 10, you go there. Too complicated. If you can have up to 5 kids, all ages between 2 and 12. And we use, of course, our experience in working with telcos to do direct carrier billing, and all the content marketing that comes with it. This is the final slide. I have 4 seconds left. It's good because this one turns into a bit of a pitch, so it's better that I go very fast on this one. Basically here, of course, it's the usual. We've done the technology, we've done the kids' content is a difficult world in terms of UX. We've got the experience within it, and we are very present in the region, so that's why we're here, essentially, to expand our partnerships into more telco and pay TV operators around. Thank you very much, and I will now go. Thanks for not throwing anything at me, but I will come back very shortly for the panel. Thank you.